Look like Caitlin Clark's civil rights has sparked a WNBA and NBA probe by the Trump administration.
Nobody thought the WNBA would end up in the middle of a federal civil rights probe, but here we are. And it all started with one name, Caitlin Clark. What began as a few bad calls on the court has turned into one of the biggest controversies in women's sports history. From ignored fouls to fan outrage, this story has spiraled so far out of control that even Washington, D.C. is paying attention. The same league that built its image on empowerment and equality is now being accused of doing the exact opposite. And the person at the center of it all? The biggest star the league's ever had. Caitlin Clark didn't just change the WNBA, she exposed it. From the moment her rookie season started, fans noticed something off. Week after week, she was getting hit harder than anyone else. No calls, no accountability, just silence. The clips went viral, the fans got louder, and yet the league acted like it wasn't happening. They ignored the chaos, brushed off the criticism, and hoped it would die down. But when you've got millions of people watching one player take shot after shot, that silence becomes the story. And that's exactly what happened.
Ago that Trump and his administration was coming. I've been preaching on it. I didn't think it was going to hit the NBA first. I thought it was coming to the W first, simply because of Caitlin Clark, her civil rights being violated, and these damn referees.
The Wall Street Journal was the first to sound the alarm. They wrote that if the league couldn't protect its biggest star, maybe the government should step in. At the time, people thought it was an exaggeration. Now, it looks like prophecy. Because reports say the Justice Department has launched a civil rights review into how Caitlin Clark was treated throughout the season. Everything from referee calls to how league officials handled complaints. It's not just about basketball anymore. It's about leadership, accountability, and bias. And that's where the politics come in. Sources claim the Trump administration took interest after hearing about unequal treatment within the league. They were already digging into sports gambling issues in the NBA when someone brought up Caitlin Clark's case, and that's when things got serious. Stephen A. Smith even hinted months ago that senators were already talking about it behind the scenes. People thought he was stirring the pot. Turns out he was right. Fast forward to now. ESPN, Fox, The Blaze, every major outlet is talking about it. The commissioner's leadership is under a microscope, and fans are furious. While Caitlin Clark was taking elbows and cheap shots, the league was tweeting about unity and empowerment. The disconnect couldn't be bigger, and the fans saw right through it. One post said, "How do you run a league that lets its most marketable player get bullied on live TV?" Another said, "If this happened to LeBron, heads would have rolled." It's hard to argue. The refs missed blatant contact. The players took subtle shots at her in interviews. And through it all, the commissioner stayed quiet, pretending the problem didn't exist. That silence, it's coming back to haunt them. Because now, this isn't just a social media debate, it's a legal issue. Under federal law, if an organization applies its rules unequally or allows bias to go unchecked, that can fall under civil rights review. And when millions of people can literally watch the clips showing Clark taking hits with no whistle, the evidence speaks for itself. The WNBA's biggest problem isn't Caitlin Clark, it's hypocrisy. They preached equality, but ignored it when it mattered most. They wanted her star power, but didn't protect her from the backlash that came with it. And now the commissioner is getting roasted for letting it all happen. Every headline is the same. The league failed its biggest star. And now the question is, how deep does the damage go? Insiders say the commissioner's office is already under internal review. Emails, referee reports, internal memos, all being pulled. Some claim panic has set in at WNBA headquarters. The Wall Street Journal's article about a hostile environment is being cited in legal discussions. Reporters are digging up old footage, and politicians are asking for answers. It's the kind of chaos that could reshape the league forever. Sponsors are nervous. Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm don't want their brands tied to a civil rights investigation. And while they're watching closely, Caitlin Clark's stock is skyrocketing. The same controversy that could sink the league is making her the face of change. Every company wants her now.
You know what world that I live in terms of politics? How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming. He's coming. I'm going to say it on national television.
Every network wants her story. The league tried to treat her like a PR problem, but she became the symbol of something much bigger, a player standing up against bias in a system built to ignore it. Meanwhile, the commissioner's 2-paragraph statement about welcoming oversight only made things worse. Fans saw it for what it was: damage control. People don't want hashtags, they want accountability. The investigation is expected to bring subpoenas, referee questioning, and possibly testimony from coaches and league executives. And if even part of the allegations prove true, it'll destroy the WNBA's image of fairness and equality overnight. What's wild is that this whole thing was preventable. All they had to do was take action early, hold refs accountable, address the bias, and show that every player gets the same protection. But arrogance got in the way. They thought Caitlin Clark's fame would fade. They didn't realize she was redefining the sport. And now, the same system that ignored her is the one she's about to dominate. Because while the league scrambles, she's winning. She's gaining power, endorsements, and public sympathy. She's become the face of justice in women's sports. And whether you love her or not, she's the one name everyone's talking about. Even the NBA is paying attention, because if this probe overlaps with the ongoing gambling investigations, it could trigger a chain reaction across both leagues. Like Stephen A. said, "This isn't just sports, it's a warning. The feds don't get involved unless it's serious." And they are involved. So now the commissioner can issue all the statements she wants, but the damage is already done. The fans know it, the media knows it, and now the government knows it too. Caitlin Clark walked into the league as a rookie and came out a symbol. She didn't just survive the bias, she turned it into power. The WNBA may have created the controversy, but Caitlin Clark is the one rewriting the story. Whether this ends with reform or a total meltdown, one thing's certain: the truth is coming out.
I want to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. But the one thing I will not do is take credit for this. I am looking at the Wall Street Journal. The author of the article is a guy by the name of Sean McLean.
Now the WNBA's in full-blown crisis mode. The federal government is involved, the public's watching, and sponsors are sweating. Everything the league stood for, empowerment, equality, unity, is being questioned. You've got senators demanding transparency, journalists digging into referee reports, and social media detectives pulling every missed call. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore, it's about credibility. The commissioner's leadership is on trial in the court of public opinion, and so far, she's losing badly. The irony? Caitlin Clark's career is skyrocketing because of it. She's become the face of resilience, the player who exposed a broken system without saying a word. Brands want her. Fans rally around her. Every controversy, every debate, every headline just makes her bigger. Meanwhile, the WNBA scrambles to clean up a mess it created. Reports claim internal panic, staff briefings, and a desperate push for damage control. But it might be too late. Once the DOJ steps in, it's not just PR, it's federal oversight.
Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Ms. Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into a legal liability for the WNBA.
And the longer it goes on, the worse it looks. Even Stephen A. Smith warned, this is just the beginning. The government doesn't announce investigations unless something serious is brewing. And now that it's public, every move the league makes will be scrutinized. The sad part is that it never had to reach this point. A few disciplinary actions, consistent officiating, and real accountability could have saved the league from disaster. But arrogance and silence turned it into a national scandal. Now, the WNBA's progressive image is cracking, and Caitlin Clark stands at the center as both victim and victor. She didn't just play the game, she changed it. Whether this ends with reform or total collapse, one thing's certain: the truth is coming out. The commissioner may issue statements, but the fans have already made up their minds. They know who failed and who fought through it. Caitlin Clark walked into the league as a rookie and walked out a legend. And now, the WNBA will forever be remembered for one thing: the moment they underestimated the player who made them relevant. The fallout from the Caitlin Clark controversy isn't just reshaping the WNBA, it's rewriting the entire conversation around women's sports. For years, the league has fought for visibility, respect, and growth. But this scandal exposed the cracks in its foundation. What was supposed to be the season that elevated the WNBA into a new era of fame and fandom has instead turned into a case study in leadership failure. The public narrative has completely flipped. Instead of celebrating Clark's record-breaking rookie year, everyone's talking about civil rights, referee bias, and the league's lack of accountability. And the irony is, this could have been avoided if the WNBA had embraced her rise instead of resisting it. Players whispered that Clark got too much attention. Critics accused her of being the league's golden child. But what they didn't realize was that her popularity wasn't the problem, it was the opportunity. The WNBA could have used her momentum to bring millions of new fans to the sport. Instead, they let jealousy, inconsistency, and silence turn admiration into outrage. That's why fans feel betrayed. They wanted to believe in the league's message of fairness and empowerment. Now they're wondering if it was all a facade. Even some current players are speaking out, carefully but clearly. They're saying what fans already believe. The refereeing was inconsistent, the leadership was distant, and the commissioner ignored obvious bias. It's not just bad optics, it's a credibility crisis. When a league that preaches equality gets accused of ignoring it, every slogan and speech starts to sound hollow. The damage goes beyond the WNBA. Sponsors and broadcasters are already talking about trust. The networks that invested heavily in promoting the league are now questioning if the product they're pushing stands for what it claims. If the DOJ's findings confirm even partial bias, it could lead to policy changes, leadership shakeups, and possibly lawsuits. Some insiders are already calling it the WNBA's biggest reckoning. The ripple effect could touch the NCAA too, where young players are now second-guessing their future. Parents are watching this unfold and asking, is my daughter safe in that environment? That's a devastating question for a league built on empowerment. And while the storm rages, Caitlin Clark remains the calm in the center. She hasn't lashed out, she hasn't gone on a rant. She's just kept playing, and that's made her even more powerful. The more chaos surrounds her, the more composed she seems. That's what makes her dangerous. Not to other players, but to the system that underestimated her. Because no matter how the investigation ends, she's already won. She's not just a player anymore, she's a movement. A symbol of what happens when one person's treatment forces an entire league to look in the mirror. If the WNBA doesn't handle this next phase carefully, they won't just lose credibility, they'll lose their audience. Fans don't forget betrayal, and they don't forgive hypocrisy. The commissioner can make speeches about transparency all day long, but until the league proves it can protect every player equally, those words mean nothing. Caitlin Clark might just be the player who forces the WNBA to rebuild from the ground up. And when history looks back, this moment will be the turning point that changed everything.